Hi everyone, today I'm doing a short review of card game ROVE. ROVE stands for Results-Oriented Versatile Explorer. It's a solo-only puzzle game with a light sci-fi theme. The game has a total of 18 cards, and game sessions are short at around 15 minutes, so it's definitely a lightweight game. ROVE has been on my wishlist for a while because it's been consistently recommended to me as one of the great solo games out there, but also because it's so cheap. You can get the print-and-play version for $3 on the PNP Arcade site. I'll leave the link in the description below. Alright, let's get started with the review. Let's first go quickly over the gameplay of ROVE. For the setup part, I shuffle the 6 module cards and I lay them on the table in 2 rows. Next, we're drawing 5 movement cards and putting a mission card into play. The goal of the game will be to move the modules using movement points to achieve certain shapes dictated by the mission cards. So here, for example, I have to make that T shape in order to complete the mission. As you can see, the blue module needs to be center top, but where the other modules land doesn't matter as long as I create the T shape. Each module has specific rules on how it can move, so the challenge is going to minimize the number of moves to achieve the pattern. Movement cards in my hand represent points that I can use to move the modules. So 1 point means I can move a module once. The movement cards have 2 values, the regular one in the top left corner and the boosted one in the bottom right corner. You can use the boosted value if your modules represent a specific pattern at the time you play the movement card. In my case here in my example, I happen to have the right pattern that lets me boost the movement points, so I'm getting 4 movement points by playing this specific card instead of 2. So with my 4 movement points, what can I do? Well, I'm going to move the purple guy over here, the blue guy over there, light blue guy, and then I'm moving the orange module twice. So I've done 4 movements, so I've used my 4 points. I'm pretty close to that T shape, but I still have to move the blue module in its final position to match the required pattern. I could play another movement card to get more points, but instead, in this case, I'm going to use the ability of the blue module. Module abilities are pretty powerful, but you can use them only once in the whole game, I mean once for each module. The blue module ability lets me put the blue module in any location, so that's what I'm going to do here. That allows me to complete the first mission. Once I'm done with one mission, I put the next mission into play, and in my case here I draw an extra movement card. And that's basically it for the game loop. You win the game if you can complete 7 missions, and you lose the game if you run out of moves before you can complete all 7 missions. So moving on to the review of the game, I think the first thing that people will notice is how cute the art is. That's actually the first thing that my daughters noticed when I was playing, and my game session was interrupted because she had to look at every single picture. By comparison, I would say that the movement cards and the modules feel almost too generic compared to how cute the missions are. Other than that, you know, so I played with the print and play version, so I can't really judge the quality of the cards here. As you can see, I just inserted printed paper in some sleeves with magic cards to give it some sturdiness. It works well, and considering the price, that's great. I mean, 18 cards, very easy to print. But I'm sure the retail version is of pretty good quality as well. I felt that the first few plays were a bit difficult. I had a hard time thinking that a game could last only 15 minutes because I think it took me 15 minutes just for my first move initially. But then I realized that the game gives you a lot of leeway into your strategies and you're allowed many mistakes. You're still gonna make it. And so that lets me segue into maybe one of my issues with the game after playing several sessions is that I think the default level was way too easy for me. And I'm not a big puzzle guy, so I was a bit concerned initially that it would just be too easy to win all the time because of all the possible strategies, and I always ended up with way more cards than I needed to complete the last mission. But the game has some great leveling up. You can start the game with like 5 cards in hands, or 4, or 3. 3 is what they call the impossible. I would say that 4 was great for me. Like, it's enough challenge while still allowing me to win enough time that I don't feel too bad. And I think level 3 they call it impossible. I would say it's just very difficult, but it's still doable in many cases. The gameplay remains fresh because of the different combinations of missions and movement cards you're going to get. So for such a tiny game, I think it's great that I feel like I can play 3, 4, 5 times in a row and not get, bored. So that aspect is really good. I want to get back again on the art. It's categorized as a sci-fi game, but the theme is very lightweight. It's an abstract puzzle at the end of the day. Don't expect a big, deep story or role-playing in there. It's a 15 minutes game after all. So don't get hooked in there just for the art, but still, I like it. So after a few games, I think 15 minutes per game session is accurate. The game is fun, very lightweight, so it's the kind of thing you take with you and you can probably play at a cafe or something, if you're waiting for someone, I don't know. And I really like it. I reviewed on my blog another game from Button Shy. It's called Sprawlopolis, and it's a very popular solo player as well. I would say that right now, I prefer ROVE to Sprawlopolis. Your mileage might vary on that, but I think I found it easier for me. I like the progression of completing the 7 missions rather than having to wait till the very end to really know if you made it in terms of points in Sprawlopolis. So that aspect just worked for me. I don't think reviewers talk a lot about price, but here I think it's a very important point. The game cost $3. If you think you want to try it, you're not losing much by just trying. So in conclusion, I really recommend ROVE if you're a solo gamer. It's cheap, it plays quick, it's elegant, pretty clever, and I haven't tried them, but I think it has some expansions that people seem to really enjoy, so I'm gonna check them out, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be one of my next purchases. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.